What's up, guys? John from Heavysettactical. I'm out on the trail today, and one of my pieces of gear that I really enjoy, because you can kind of strap it anywhere, is my knife. And this is the Jackalope by Exodus Knife Tool, and it's actually produced and manufactured by White River Knife and Tool, and it's the Jackalope. I would prefer you guys, if you purchase one, to go off of exodusknifeandtool.com. The owner is a good friend of mine, and he's a great guy. Veteran-owned company. Just, they make really solid stuff, and I've previewed some of their knives before. So today we're going to be taking a look at a lot of Work Tuff gear knives and doing some cool stuff, and might even shoot some shorts on my new Survive Knives GSO 4 Survive Knife EDC4. Excellent knife. That is also something I'm carrying today. So let's get into it. What's up, guys? John from Heavysettactical. Today I'm out on the trail, and I'll be reviewing two of Work Tuff Gear's new knives. Both are pretty crazy. Let's check them out. So today we'll be taking a look at doing a brief video on two knives. This is the Work Tuff Gear Pathfinder, designed by in SK85 steel, designed by Boulder Valentine. That is his designer's logo. That is the Pathfinder, and also in SK85, and also made by Boulder Valentine, is the Hondo. If there is nothing that Work Tuff Gear is remembered for, it is overbuilt buoys and other big styles of knife. So let's get into it today. Check out both of these knives, talk about price and stats at the end. Let's dive on in. Guys, John from Heavysettactical, and today we're going to be taking a look at one of Work Tuff Gear's new masterpieces in the large buoy knife arena, and this is the Work Tuff Gear Pathfinder. Excellent chopper. It's got a very thin profile compared to something like the Mountain Man. That's probably got 1/4 of an inch on this. So it's very slicey. I put out a couple of shorts on my channel talking about how slicey it was and Slice and Paper. But even for it being a thin profile, it still has a really great tip on it. The whole spine is 90 degrees for striking a ferro rod. This thing is just so slicey, man. I can't tell you with words just how slicey this thing is. It's just crazy. It's like a blade off of a planer. It's just crazy. So we're going to do a little bit of batoning with it. Start off small, work our way up a little bit, and just kind of see how it handles, see how it takes the vibration in the handle. This is OD green G10 with orange liners. I really liked that design. This is the Gator grip with the little nodules on it. They do have some new really cool grips coming out, and some variants of this knife that we'll talk about later. I have a break in this, so it's really loud when I strike it. I'm going to take that off real quick. I think it's right here. There we go. Now it won't make that clapping noise every time I swing it. Alright, so let me get set up here. It's kind of like playing Who's On First, but with big blades. Man, right through there. Now you can baton some smaller stuff with this, but I think I want to check out some of its capability as far as large pieces of wood. Obviously it's a large knife. This is a really nasty piece of wood that I saved just for this knife. Man, love it. Batoning with this knife is kind of like shooting a tank at a quail. It's going to do all your large knife tasks extremely well. Batoning, chopping, shelter building. But you can still do some finer tasks with it. That's why I really like their big blades. Are always pretty elegant. chop up some kindling. Sorry about that, guys. I'm working with a new GoPro Hero 12 and I'm trying to get used to some of the settings. There's a power off after 3 or 4 minutes for the screens, and I couldn't see where I was at on the front directional screen there. So I just had to adjust it. Let's get back to a little batoning with the Pathfinder. Now it's funny, when it comes to big blades like this, it's actually a little harder to get the power that you need coming down on top of it. You really got to swing. But there's not really anything that you're going to do to this, especially this SK85, to really hurt it or the spine, especially swinging something like a wood baton on it. So I wouldn't worry about that at all. It's really good for breaking down kindling when you, even if you don't have a baton, just get it started, give it a couple of whacks. Breaking down some finer stuff. Now you got to be careful with hand control because you can go over that and hit yourself. I've been doing this for a while, so I got pretty good control as far as my hand on this blade. This thing is a chopper, my friend. As I said before, guys, with this Pathfinder and most of Work Tough Gear's large blades, it's really nice. This one doesn't have the finger choil that stuff like the Mountain Man does, but it's still has a handle profile that makes it comfortable enough where you can do finer tasks without your wrists getting all jacked up. So we're gonna do a little bit of feather sticking. That convex edge on here, guys, is so sharp and such an excellent profile. Look at these micro, I call them angel hairs. It's like angel hair pasta level thin. Now, feather sticking with hard wood is always kind of an annoyance, but it's definitely got the potential to be able to do some really fine work with. And then also I like big blades like this because you can hold the tip like this and use it as a plane if you were trying to get a nice flat piece out, or if I was dragging on this log, you know, flattening a log out. It works really good for stuff like that. Now where this is going to shine, obviously, is in the chopping. It's just a beast. And the handle profile is almost like a, this is called a bird's beak back here. And it has a bird's beak a little more pronounced than a Becker. And the way that these are set up, this type of bird's beak is set up, is a lot of them are set up 2 on top, 2 on the bottom. This one is 3 on top and put the pinky on the bottom. And you can see it just bites into that wood. It's a pretty crazy chopper. One swing. And you know, to make a large knife like this with the ability to do finer tasks, I'm just trying a couple different points on this blade here. Feather sticking with hard wood is a seriously annoying task for anyone. And I can't get a good bead going. But the reason I like their convexed edges is because, for that reason alone, feather sticking with them, it's really nice. You can just kind of let the knife find its level, let the knife find its grab point as far as angling it into the wood. And you just go. So that's a little bit of finer stuff with the Work Tough Gear Pathfinder. Let's do some chopping. Now guys, one of the best tasks for large blades like this with the convex edge, especially Work Tough Gear's blades, like the Mountain Man, the Grizzly, the Kodiak, the Wolverine, the Mountain Lion stuff, those blades by Aurora Borealis, is de-limbing with them is quite an easy task. One hit. Oh, I gotta stop wearing long sleeves. One hit, right through. It makes de-limbing just a lot easier when you're coming down on top of these little nodes here. And like I said earlier, it being like a plane, if you were trying to flatten out a piece of wood and dragging it like this, it would work really well with a knife like this. That's why I like their wide profile from the edge to the hilt here. It's nice and wide so you can get a second hand on there and use it for tasks. It's just so sharp, guys. This blade is just such a beast. Two hits. It's crazy, especially if you want to skim off the tip, and if you're, you know, making a spear for any reason, any survival reason. This is just a great knife, guys. Now, one thing with these large blades is you want to make sure that that handle is comfortable for you. So I like to know what I like, and I mean that as in, like me, I have really meaty hands, but I don't have the biggest hands in the world. So a blade like this is just good enough for my grip. I really like the flat back. You can set your palm right into it and then get a good grip against that bird's beak on the bottom. But you know, a lot of people don't have large hands, so you know what you need. Something like this could really easily fly out of your hand once your hand gets fatigued. So I like to just be safe with it. Just a little mental note. Work Tough Gear Pathfinder. Now, next up, I want to take a closer look at the Hondo. This is also a blade created by Boulder Valentine, designed by Boulder Valentine, and produced by Work Tough Gear over at their factory in Taiwan. You know, don't let the word Taiwan disassociate with you know, the level of functionality of these blades. I've been buying from Work Tough Gear for a couple years now, and they have never let me down as far as quality. I would put a Work Tough Gear Mountain Lion against almost any blade for you know, for not having as much severe edge damage and overall toughness and comfortability. I'm actually working with a guy on getting some micarta scales made for my Mountain Lion. So this is the Work Tough Gear Hondo. This is also SK85. So I really like the fact that they put an acid wash on the SK85 and they tumble them a little bit. It almost looks like a stone wash, but like with medium to large stones in it. And that just adds a little bit of, you know, breakup. Now, I will say that the satin finish that Work Tough Gear's factory does is second to none when it comes to production knives. The satin finish on my Grizzly and K329 and my K329 Mountain Lion is second to none. It's flawless satin finish. Now, when it comes to SK85, it will patina. So they make ones that are uncoated in SK85 all the time. But I like having a little bit of coloration on there or style on there, because it will patina over time. You know, you're going through different stuff, getting pine, you know, pine sap on there and all kinds of stuff. It's just gonna happen naturally. So, Work Tough Gear Hondo, let's do some batoning. Like I said earlier, Work Tough Gear knives are made for batoning tests. Just right through it. We're gonna try something a little more naughty, a little bit of this. Now, I can't think of what this wood is called, the actual type of wood, but it is some nasty fibrous stuff. It has that red center. It's just really nasty stuff. Might be from a willow down there. I forget what I cut it off of. I can picture the bark and what it goes to tree-wise, but I can't think of what it is right now. Man. Excellent. I never cease to surprise myself when it comes to batoning with Work Tough Gear blades. Now this is a nasty piece of oak I cut a couple weeks ago, and it rained yesterday, so it's been sitting down here getting waterlogged. Man. Now, a lot of people wondering what the reason for batoning is. Now, this piece right here, when it comes to oak, one of my favorite things to do with it, when you baton a piece that's about 2 inches around, just like this, the general, you know, circumference is 2 inches. I really like, just like I commented about the Pathfinder being a plane, I like coming up and flattening out these pieces of oak, just like I'm doing here. Grab that tip, make sure you're keeping it nice and flat, and run this just like a plane, because this is a really, really, really great platform to put a spindle on for doing a friction fire. So just keep that in mind if you have oak around you. Like Central PA, where I'm at in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, Southern Lancaster, Pennsylvania, it's a great resource. It's all over the place, and it's really good wood to make a lot of different things with. But man, what I love also about this is both of these knives, I mean, I'm going to go over the grinds and dimensions and stats when I get home, and we're going to do a paper cut test. We're going to do some follow-up information and specs. But one thing I love about this type of grind is it's almost a full flat. It has a transition to a full flat face up here, but it's a very minute transition, so it's almost a full flat. So when you come into something, some piece of excuse me, some piece of material when you're batoning, it just spreads, and then lets you seam right down. It's just a really nice profile to baton with. So now I'm gonna do a little bit of, I just want to see how this convex edge is a little different than the other one, especially being a lot smaller of a knife. I think it's a little more precise. So a lot of people like to ask, what's the reason for batoning? So if you're out like me right now and it has just rained and you want to start a fire, I can go like this and make these feather sticks the whole way down through a piece of wood and have a big bushel of them. And I can strike a ferro rod right into that bushel and start it up. And if I'm not even using that, if I have a piece of you know, flint and char cloth or anything like that to start a fire, once the flame is lit, then you throw these right on top and it goes right up. Now, batoning is essentially me finding a wet piece of wood and cracking it open in 4 or 6 pieces to get to this center. If this is the outside of the wood here, the center is going to be hopefully dry, depending on the diameter of the wood and how much water it was sitting in. So you baton down to get at that nice dry center of wood so that you can feather stick it and start yourself a fire in a survival situation or in a camping situation. You know, if I were to go camping right now, I would still do all of the stuff that I'm showing you now. Is not just a basis for survival stuff. It's a basis for camping and hunting. If I'm out hunting for a whole overnight hunt, you know, I'll stop, make camp, make a fire. And that, like I said before, one thing I love about Work Tough gear is that convex edge is so nice to feather stick with, because it very quickly grabs that edge. You don't have to do a lot of work finding your depth like you might with a Scandi or some other types of grinds. The secondary V edge on here is really nice because it's convex, so you kind of just roll it right into that feather sticking perfect area, you know. Man, this thing is a hell of a batoner. I wish I had something a little thicker to try on that Pathfinder, but I'm not out here to win a batoning competition. I'm sure I could go home and take the chainsaw, cut up some, you know, 4 or 5 inch logs, and we could really get into it. And you know, but for the most part, you're not going to have that big of a span in the natural wilderness. I'm going to use my backhoe saw. I'm going to find something like this or this, and I'm gonna take my backhoe and cut it in foot-long pieces, baton them, make my feather sticks, start my fire, get my tinder. So, you know, for the most part, it's just kind of let's see how big of a piece of wood we can baton. And honestly, one of these days, Scab, old Scabber from Choir Boys Cutlery is sending me 2 big Work Tough gear blades that I haven't had the chance to test yet. So I think when I get those, we're gonna take the Mountain Man, the Pathfinder, and his 2, and we're gonna do a top 4 big batoners competition with some of those blades. Now, I'll stop running my gums. This is a nasty, nasty piece of redwood here. Real fibrous. It's got a big curve in it. But still, it might seem like I'm swinging really hard, but in the sense of how much energy I'm really putting into it, it's very minute. This is an excellent batoning and bush knife. As far as tactical uses, you know, I'm sure that's strange. There's actually somebody on the trail today. As far as tactical uses go, this knife has such a good lockup, and it's never gonna come out of your hand. And that one, they both have really great tips for piercing. Oh man, that thing's in there. Oh. So to be honest with you, the Hondo fits in like a survival knife, combat knife role, which honestly, just like the TRC Apocalypse, I really love knives that fit into combat and survival. That's kind of my favorite area. So this is a knife that I actually really like. These 2 knives, this knife in general was sent to me by Vic Lynn to test, and I want to take a second to just say thank you. Being one of the smaller channels out here, sometimes you feel like you're not living up to making as much content as others, or in the quality of video that others do. And to have Vic Lynn, who's not, you know, they're not the biggest knife company in the world. They're one of the fastest growing, I'm sure. You know, they won a lot of contests and things at knife shows for their designs and production. But, you know, for him to take the time to send small channels like me stuff to test very regularly, you know, I just wanted to say thank you to Vic Lynn and the whole Work Tough Gear team. So, one more thing I wanted to show you guys is that, you know, this is the Hondo. Got a really thick handle profile, but they did this really interesting thing here where they kind of chamfered out on either side where your thumb goes. I think to give you grip laterally, this way and this way, which is pretty cool because kind of however you're using it, you have a really great grip, but that nice flat top. It's not too sharp, but it's really sharp for a ferro rod. So I just up close wanted to show you just how nicely this grabs. Guys, I'm letting the convex edge do all the work, not pushing too hard at all. Just running this knife down along the wood, letting it do all the work, letting it grab for those nice pieces of spaghetti, angel hair spaghetti. And it does really, really nice curls. Now, for chopping, look at that. Even for chopping, this thing is totally up to the task. Now, I'm not gonna do a lot of chopping with this knife today because I'm pretty sure you guys can see with that bird's beak. It's the same bird's beak design as the Pathfinder. I'm gonna grab it real fast and show you. This is the Pathfinder here. And this is the bird's beak on the Hondo. So I believe, now that I'm looking at them, I almost think that these handle scales are interchangeable. They are the exact same handle scales, which is actually way cool, guys, because you can then interchange them. If I really like these and I got more wear on these and they just fit my hand better, or I like the color more, I can just take them off and I believe they're the same. That's awesome. So yeah, 2 excellent blades. You know, I can't say enough about Work Tough Gear. You know, enough good stuff about Work Tough Gear and the stuff that they do with SK85, K329, a lot of steels that you won't see on other knife companies, which is really funny because they're just excellent steels. I'm telling you right now, guys, there is not one 1095 high carbon steel knife that I would put against this Hondo, or against SK85 in general. I don't think that, as far as edge retention, toughness, I think I'd choose SK85 almost every time over 1095. But that's just me. I use a lot more SK85 than 1095. Now, guys, one thing I love about 99% of Work Tough gear blades, I'm sure there's one out there that isn't, I haven't found it. 99.9% of Work Tough gear blades have a perfect 90-degree edge on top for a fire steel. And it just strikes so nicely. And with big blades like this, you can stab them in. Oh, stab them in. And come right over the top like that. Put your bundle of tinder right there. Right there. I love that about these knives. Now I'm going to switch over to the Hondo. And this is also one. Man, this one might even be better. Look at that. Man, that's crazy. I'm telling you guys, that's what I love about Work Tough gear. They always... See, you could put your little, real fine thing of fat wood right there from pine. And I'll show you guys. I'm going to do a big fat wood video one of these days and show you where to find it on pine trees, etc. But you take a very flammable material, some cotton, you know, with some jelly on it or whatever you're using for a tinder, and then come right in there. Man, Work Tough gear knives. What's up, guys? Just finishing up my video. Got my cameraman, aka my dad, out here with me. Family and nature, two very important things in my household. Now, another thing that's important, and I like to shout out gear all the time. This is a Cascade walking stick. I have two of them, one for me, one for my dad. Cascade Mountain is the product. Excellent walking sticks. They literally weigh nothing. Just something really nice that I like to have, you know, when you're crossing streams and you need 3 points, 4 points of contact. It's really great for going up and down hills, checking the depth of water and snow, stuff like that. It's really helpful. Now, this is my first time shooting a knife review with a GoPro 12 Hero. So we're gonna go back, we're gonna chop up the footage, edit it up, and we're gonna see what we think. Have a good day, guys. God bless. What's up, guys? John from Heavysettactical. It's hard to get this whole thing in the frame. This is the end of the video, and this is the segment where I tell you the specs and pricing. So, we'll start off. I can't even fit it in frame. So, Work Tough Gear Pathfinder. This is $249, which is crazy for what you're actually getting. It's really wild. Their prices are just excellent. This is the Work Tough Gear Pathfinder in SK85 steel, designed by Jeremy Boulder Valentine. It is a hand-rubbed retro wash. This is what the acid wash is, a hand-rubbed retro wash. Say that 10 times fast. It's an OD green and orange G10 liners, orange and white G10 liners. I think it's an excellent color scheme. I've really enjoyed it. And it's also the gator grip, so it has these small little nodules on it, which are really comfortable. Some of the first Foresters that came out, Work Tough Gear Foresters by Aurora Borealis, were in with some of that gator grip on them. Something like that anyway. Overall length, 18 inches. The blade is 11.75 inches from tip to hilt, or tip to handle. 11.75 inches, 18 overall. The thickness is 0.23 inches. So it's not their thickest blade. Trust me, I'm going to show you this in a second next to the Mountain Man. It's definitely not one of their thickest. That's why I like it, though. It's very slicey. The it's a saber grind with a convexed edge. You can see the mirror polished convexed edge, that apex. It's a Bowie style knife. I say Bowie, man. I've been saying Bowie since I was 12, even if it is wrong. And the weight is 32.7 ounces. Comes with an excellently fitted Kydex sheath. I don't know how. No rattle. Hardly any rattle for a blade that size is just crazy. Now, let's look at the thickness real fast next to the Mountain Man. So, this is the Work Tough gear. Ooh! Battle of the Blades. This is the Work Tough gear Mountain Man. Man, someone keeps calling me. I can't stand when that happens. And look at this thickness compared to this. This is a significantly thicker blade, so trust me. They make them thicker, believe it or not. Man, I still love the Mountain Man. So now I'm going to switch over to the Hondo, and we're going to go over specs and pricing for the Hondo. And again, this is the Work Tough Gear Pathfinder, $249. And I will put it tag to their website in the description. Okay, guys, this is the specs and pricing for the other knife that I reviewed today. This is the Work Tough Gear Hondo. That's another Jeremy Boulder Valentine design. This is $209 for this package. And in the description, I will put when the release date is for the Hondo. It is overall 14 inches, Bowie style in SK85, same as the Pathfinder. The blade is 7.9 inches with a cutting edge of 7.9. It's the same thickness as the Pathfinder, 0.23, so it's a thick boy. It is a saber grind with a convex edge. You can see the mirror convex edge. And this one happens to be 19.5 ounces. And the other one was 32.7. So you can see the difference in size between the two is pretty remarkable. So, that is the Work Tough Gear Hondo and Work Tough Gear Pathfinder review. Guys, don't be afraid to go down and check out the link in the description to go over to worktoughgear.com. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. I got some shirts and hats coming out, so it's going to be a really exciting year. Have a good night, guys. Like always, stay safe and stay heavy.